Two couples, Sam and Lisa, Ben and Amy, rented a cabin in the woods for a romantic weekend. They arrived at the cabin, which was cozy and rustic. They unpacked their bags and decided to have a barbecue and enjoy the sunset. They lit a fire and grilled some burgers and hot dogs. Also opened a bottle of wine. They toasted to their friendship and love and ate their delicious meal. They were having a great time, laughing and chatting, until they heard a loud knock on the door. They were surprised and wondered who could be there. They looked through the window and saw a man standing outside, wearing a dirty coat and a hat. He had a beard and a scar on his face, and he looked angry and desperate. He shouted, "Let me in! Let me in! There's something out there!" They were very scared and did not know what to do. They debated whether to open the door or not, but they decided to be compassionate and help the stranger. They opened the door and let him in and asked him what was wrong. The man said, thank you, you saved my life. There's a monster in the woods, a beast that haunts and kills people. It's huge and hairy with red eyes and sharp teeth. It's a werewolf and it's after me. I barely escaped, but it's still out there. We have to lock doors and windows and stay inside until dawn." They were shocked and did not believe him. They thought he was crazy or drunk, and they wanted him to leave. They told him to calm down and explain himself. Also, they asked him where he came from and how he knew about the werewolf. The man said, "I came from the town nearby where I live. I'm a hunter and I've been tracking the werewolf for months. It's been killing people and animals, and I wanted to stop it. I found its lair in the woods and I waited for it to come out. I had a silver bullet, the only thing that can kill it. I shot, but I missed it. It saw me and chased me and I ran for my life. I saw your cabin and I came here, hoping you would help me." They were skeptical and did not trust him. They thought he was lying or making up a story, and they wanted to call the police. They looked for their phones, but they realized they had no signal. They were isolated and cut off from the outside world. They were nervous and didn't know what to do. They decided to wait until morning and then drive to the town and report the man. They told him to stay in the living room and they went to their bedrooms. They locked their doors and tried to sleep, but they were too afraid. They heard a howl from the woods, a loud and terrifying sound. They heard the man scream, "It's here! It's here! It found me!" They heard a crash and a thud, and then silence. They were terrified and didn't dare to move. They waited until the sun rose. Then they gathered their courage and went to the living room. They saw a horrific scene. The man was lying on the floor, dead. His body was torn and bloody, and his clothes were shredded. There was a hole in the wall where something had broken in. There was blood and fur everywhere. They were horrified and wanted to get out of there. They grabbed their bags and ran to their car. They didn't look back and didn't stop until they reached the town. They went to the police station and told them what happened. They showed them the pictures they took of the cabin and the man. The police were stunned and did not believe them. They thought they were pranksters or hoaxers, and they wanted to arrest them. They were frustrated and angry, and they wanted to prove their innocence. They asked the police to check the cabin and the woods and to look for the werewolf. They said they were telling the truth, and they had evidence. The police agreed to investigate and they sent a team to the cabin. They searched the place and the surroundings, and they found something shocking. They found the body of the man, but they also found another body. It was the body of a woman, half human, half wolf. She had a bullet wound in her chest and a silver necklace around her neck. She was the werewolf, and she was the man's wife. The police realized that the man was telling the truth and that he had killed his wife. He had been hunting her, not knowing she was the werewolf. He had shot her, but he hadn't killed her. She had followed him to the cabin, and she had killed him. She had died from her wound, and she had turned back to her human form. The police were shocked and saddened, and they felt sorry for the man and his wife. They called the couples and told them what they found. They apologized and said they were sorry for doubting them. They said they were free to go, and they wished them well. The couples were relieved and grateful, and they thanked the police. They were glad they were safe, and felt sorry for the man and his wife. They realized they had witnessed a tragic story, a story of love and betrayal, a story of Werewolf and the Hunter. 5 friends, Tom, Anna, Leo, Sarah, and Mike, went for a hike in the woods. They were adventurous and wanted to explore nature. They followed a trail that led them to a waterfall, where they stopped for a picnic. They ate some sandwiches and fruits and drank some water. They were happy and relaxed, and they enjoyed the view. They decided to continue their hike, and they looked for another trail. They saw a sign that read, "Danger, do not enter, abandoned mine ahead." They were curious and decided to ignore the warning. They thought it would be fun and exciting to see the mine. They followed the sign and entered the woods. They walked for a while, then they saw a metal gate. It was rusty and bent, and it had a padlock on it. They saw a hole in the gate, big enough for a person to squeeze through. They decided to go inside, and they took turns crawling through the hole. They entered the mine, which was dark and dusty. They turned on their flashlights and looked around. They saw a tunnel that stretched into the darkness. They saw wooden beams, metal rails, and old mining equipments. They saw piles of rocks and dirt, empty barrels, and crates. They heard a dripping sound and a faint echo. They felt a chill in the air and a smell of decay. They were fascinated and decided to explore the tunnel. They walked along the rails, shining their flashlights at the walls and the ceiling. They saw more signs of the past, such as graffiti, posters, and newspapers. They saw dates and names and stories of the miners who worked there. They walked for a while and then heard a loud bang. They were startled and scared. They looked back and saw a cloud of dust and debris, also a collapse of tunnel. They realized they were trapped and they panicked. They tried to dig their way out, but they couldn't. They tried to call for help, but they had no signal. They were isolated and doomed, and they didn't know what to do. They heard a voice from the tunnel, a deep and raspy voice. It said, "Hello, my name's Jack. I'm the ghost of the mine, and I have a game for you. You see, I'm a very lonely and angry ghost, and I like to play with people's lives. I trapped you here, and I have the only way out. If you want to live, you have to do what I'm saying. Are you ready to play?" They were horrified and furious, and they wanted to escape. They looked for another exit, but they couldn't find any. They were trapped and helpless, and they had no choice but to play Jack's game. They heard the voice again, and it said, "The first challenge is simple. You have to find the key to the gate. The key is hidden somewhere in the tunnel, and you have to find it before the timer runs out. You have 10 minutes to find the key, or I'll blow you all up." Tick, tock, tick, tock. They were shocked and speechless, and they didn't know what to say. They looked at each other and saw fear and determination in their eyes. They decided to work together, and they split up. They searched the tunnel looking for the key. They searched for a while and then found something. It was a metal box attached to the wall. It had a keypad and a display and a red wire. It was a bomb, and it was counting down from 10. They realized it was a trap, and they screamed. They ran away from the box and started looking for the key again. After a while, they found something else. It was a wooden chest hidden under a pile of rocks. It had a lock and a label, and a green wire. It was the key, and it was connected to the bomb. They realized it was the solution, and they cheered. They moved to the rocks and opened the chest, and they saw the key. They grabbed the key and ran to the gate. They unlocked it. They crawled through the hole and exited the mine, and they breathed a sigh of relief. They made it, and they were alive. They heard the voice again, and it said, "Congratulations, you passed the first challenge, but don't celebrate too soon, because the game is not over yet. The second challenge is harder. You have to find me. I'm hiding somewhere in the woods, and you have to find me before the sun sets. You have 1 hour to find me, or I'll kill you all. Ready or not? Here I come. They were stunned and angry, and they wanted to end the game. They looked for Jack, but they couldn't see him. They were confused and scared, and they didn't know where to go. They decided to stick together and they ran into the woods. They looked for clues such as footprints, sounds, or shadows. They looked for Jack, but they couldn't find him. He was hiding well and he was taunting them. He said things like, "You can't catch me. I'm too fast. You can't see me. I'm too smart. You can't beat me. I'm so strong." They ran for a while, then saw something. It was a cabin in the middle of the woods. It was old and dilapidated, and it had a sign that read, "Jack's Cabin." They realized it was Jack's hideout and they decided to check it out. They entered the cabin, which was dark and dirty. They saw a fireplace, a couch, a table, and a chair. They saw a radio, a speaker, and a remote control. They saw Jack sitting on the chair, smiling. They were surprised and furious, and they wanted to confront him. They approached him, and they saw that he was not a ghost. He was a man, a living man. He had a beard and a hat, coat and a scarf. He had a gun and a knife, a scar and a tattoo. It was Jack, the owner of the mine and the mastermind of the game. They realized he was not a ghost, but a psychopath. He had faked his death and rigged the mine. He had trapped them, played with them, and lied to them. He had tortured them. He was Jack, and he was evil. They asked him why he did it and what he wanted. He said, "I did it because I was bored and I wanted some fun. I wanted to see how far you would go and how much you would suffer. I wanted to test your friendship and your will to live. I just wanted to play a game." They were disgusted and outraged, and they wanted to stop him. They attacked and fought him. They used their fists, feet, wits, and courage. They overpowered and disarmed him. They tied him up and called the police. They waited for the police and they told them what happened. They showed them the mine, the cabin, the bomb, and the key. They showed them Jack and they told them the story. The police were amazed and relieved and they praised them. They said they were brave and smart and they survived. They said that they were free to go and they wished them well. The friends were relieved and grateful and they thanked the police. They were glad they were safe and they felt proud of themselves. They realized they had witnessed a crazy story. A story of danger and adventure. A story of mine in the cabin. A group of friends decided to go camping in the woods, hoping to have some fun and adventure. They set up their tents near a clearing and lit a fire to keep warm. They roasted marshmallows, told jokes, and sang songs. They were having a great time until they heard a loud howl from the distance. They all froze and looked at each other nervously. What was that? They wondered. It sounded like a wolf, but bigger and more menacing. They grabbed their flashlight and scanned the surrounding trees. They saw nothing, but they felt a presence. Something was watching them. They decided to stay close to the fire and hope that whatever it was would leave them alone. They tried to resume their conversation, but they were too scared to relax. They heard another howl, this time closer. They felt a chill run down their spines. They knew they were not alone. They heard a rustle in the bushes and then a growl. They turned their flashlight to the source of the noise and saw a pair of glowing red eyes. They gasped and backed away. They saw a huge, hairy creature emerge from the shadows. It had a wolf-like head, but a human-like body. It had sharp teeth, claws, and long tail. It was a werewolf. The werewolf snarled and lunged at them. They screamed and ran for their lives. They dropped their flashlight and stumbled in the dark. They heard the werewolf behind them gaining on them. They reached their car and fumbled for the keys. They managed to get in and lock the doors. They started the engine and sped away. They thought they were safe until they heard a thud on the roof. They looked up and saw the werewolf staring at them through the windshield. It smashed the glass and reached for them. They screamed and swerved the car. They lost control and crashed into a tree. They blacked out and woke up in the hospital. They were alive but badly injured. They had cuts, bruises, and bite marks. They were told that they were very lucky to survive and that they were found by a ranger who heard the crash. They were also told that there was no sign of the werewolf and it was probably a wild animal. They knew the truth, but they didn't dare to tell anyone. They knew that they weren't only survivors, but also victims. They knew that they were infected and that they would become werewolves. They knew that they would never be the same again. They knew that they would have to live with their curse and their fear. They knew that they would have to face the next full moon.